Hershel Walker has secured the Republican nomination for Senate in Georgia, and let's just, he's a joke. So Hershel Walker, former NFL player, he is running for Senate. I don't know why, and Trump endorsed him. I don't know why. He is so far from qualified, it is profound. What we're gonna look at today is a clip of him responding to the shooting in Uvalde, Texas, and the conversation around gun control. And so, of course, because he's running in the Republican Party, he has to be against any form of gun control. So let's first watch this clip and then we'll respond.
See, that is a person wielding that weapon. You know, Cain killed Abel, and that's the problem that we have. And I said, what we need to do is look into how we can stop those things. You know, he talked about doing a disinformation. What about getting a department that can look at young men that's looking at women, that's looking at just social media? What about doing that, looking into things like that, and we can stop that way? But yet they want to just continue to talk about taking away your constitutional rights. And I think there's more things we need to look into. This has been happening for years, and the way we stop it, by putting money into the mental health field, by putting money into other departments rather than departments that want to take away your rights.
I don't know. What was he trying to say? What is happening, Hershel? So there's two parts of this that I want to break down. The first is going to be just what the heck was that response? He clearly doesn't know enough about these topics to be running for Senate and want to legislate to address some of these problems in our country, or more accurately, not address some of these problems in our country. The second aspect is what Hershel Walker represents and what a lot of these candidates that we've seen recently running in the Republican Party represents for the straying away from really any person who is qualified and has understanding of the different issues and can bring a certain perspective. Now it's just a big who's famous and is gonna like Trump and support Trump. I mean, we saw Dr. Oz, Hershel Walker, and then just goofs like Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, who weren't famous beforehand, but all their role is to be this character who can tweet out stuff and appear on TV. It's not really about them getting in there and having a good understanding of the different issues and then working to try to address different problems in our country. It's just a bunch of personality cults that is developing in the Republican Party. And so people like Hershel Walker, who have no business being in government, like why does he even think that's the place for him to be, are getting the nomination for the Republican Senate race. It's wild. But let's start with point one. So he tried to say something about, mental health or monitoring social media instead of doing any gun control. And so that response is really representative of the Republican Party's response to this shooting in Texas. It's kind of this squirrel. Let's talk about any other aspect of what leads somebody to doing such a violent, horrible action like what we saw in Uvalde than gun control. Let's talk about anything else besides that. And that was Hershel Walker's response right there. Beep, bop, boop. I don't really know. I'm just gonna say a bunch of words and throw in a bunch of times that we can't take your right to bear arms or can't take your rights away. And that's gonna be about it. I'm not gonna propose any real substantive solutions to this problem. And we have seen over the last 48 hours some of the most wacko ideas for how to protect kids. I mean, people want schools to just be military fortresses where everybody in there has guns. The doors are like military doors and there's booby traps and all this crazy stuff, instead of just addressing the more simple issue of the people who are doing the shooting, not allowing them to get access to such effective killing machines. I want to say this again, I said in my video yesterday, but of course I'm totally down to invest more in mental health treatment, set up systems that are really good at recognizing who's a threat, all that type of stuff without infringing on people's privacy, and coming up with unique ways that schools can protect kids. I'm honestly great to talk about all of that, but can we not ignore the massive elephant in the room of guns that are playing a role in these violent events? Let's just talk about all of it. And I'm open to that, but a lot of people on the right aren't open to it. They only want to talk about the other things because they don't want to touch gun control. And I have to say this every time this comes up. I'm not saying take your guns away. I'm not saying, get rid of the Second Amendment, throw it in the shredder. We're talking about very common sense things that a lot of Americans support. It would prevent, or at least make it more difficult for dangerous people to get such dangerous weapons. And just like how we have other rights that are regulated, we should do that with the Second Amendment. As Hershel Walker tried to do, they just want to distract by rambling about a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Guys, honestly, he's running for Senate. Did you see that response? What the heck is happening? Okay, and now to the second point. Hershel Walker is running, getting endorsed by the former president. He has a really good chance he's running against Raphael Warnock. He's just a goof. I mean, he was a good football player. Like, what? How does that qualify him to run for Senate? And even, I'm not someone who's like, you have to have all of this particular qualifications, but you do have to provide a certain level of insight and understanding of the issues. If you don't have all of the kind of experience that people look for in a politician, you at least should bring amazing ideas and insight and a great vision for how America should move forward. I don't know about you, but Hershel Walker is not bringing a great vision for how America should move forward. He's truly just another character the Republican Party can use for their ends, and that's it. And this is a trend we're seeing in the Republican Party where more and more unserious candidates are rising to power. I mean, some of the biggest figures, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, formerly Madison Cawthorn. These are the rising stars in your party. They don't know anything about these issues, and yet they're immensely popular. Not Madison Cawthorn, but Marjorie Taylor Greene, super popular in the Republican Party. And I really do think it's because what Republican voters value now isn't someone who can bring really thoughtful solutions to the table for problems facing America. No, in many cases, it's, can you parrot the different talking points that we like to hear and the different things we like to be angry about, and can you kiss up to Trump? If you can do those two things, and you're someone who is good at marketing, or you have a really famous name, we got you. And I know we don't talk a lot about this, but the things that the government does is super important. Like, we do need smart, thoughtful people in the government to work on these issues. And we're getting so far away from that, which honestly is scary, because you do want wise, level-headed people looking out for you in the government. Just as kind of a bonus thing to end this video, Hershel Walker said at one point that I haven't heard Trump say the election was stolen. Where have you been, buddy? Have you ever watched Trump speak in the last 2 years? What are you talking about? I don't think Trump has a call with a single family member, appears on TV a single time, passes by somebody on the street ever without bringing up that the 2020 election was stolen. The fact that Hershel Walker said that just shows how dishonest he is. So he will be running against Raphael Warnock. We have to help Raphael Warnock stay in power. I actually like Raphael Warnock from what I know so far, and it would be a huge shame if Hershel Walker defeated him.